Hey guys, welcome back to The Struggle with Candice Thompson. Guess who I am? Candice Thompson. To my loyal listeners, thank you for coming back time and time again. And to my new followers and listeners, thank you for joining. I hope that you'll be enjoying all of these episodes. Go back and find older episodes. I like to tell people, if you are just now listening, don't just start with this one. You can. Thank you for starting with this, but also, go back into the archives. We have so many great guests on here. So make sure you do that. But thank you for joining. This podcast, The Struggle, is where I invite my friends on to talk about things that they're currently struggling with. It's basically the challenges of adulting, which if you're an adult listening to this, then you can relate, because being an adult can be shitty a lot. So thank you for joining. You can find me at Jokes by Candice on social media, CandiceThompsonComedy.com for all my shows. And if you have not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you do that. You can find it on any platform where you listen to podcasts. Also, videos are now up on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe there. Also, rate and review us on iTunes. And also tell somebody. If you've been listening to this and you haven't been telling somebody, you are doing yourself and this podcast a disservice. So make sure to spread the word. Pay it forward. That being said, I'm going to introduce my hilarious guest for the day. Comedian, writer, actor, Dani Fernandez.
That is me.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited you were able to come.
Yes. People don't know this, but it is pouring rain outside.
We're not used to this here.
No. I almost washed away.
I almost didn't come. I was going to let everyone else show up, and then I just text you guys. I'm not going to make it, guys. I can't. But that is the LA lifestyle. Like, it's rain. In LA, rain is an excuse not to be somewhere.
Look, people make fun of us, but we don't have the infrastructure made for this.
Dude, my whole car fell into a pothole the other day.
Yeah.
The potholes after the rain, these streets are made of like Play-Doh. I don't understand who built these streets.
We have horrible plumbing too for our
for sure.
Because the streets just overflow. I had a friend that parked their car outside, and their car, the water got into their car because the level, because the water rises, so it went into we deserve to complain.
We do, because LA is just very sensitive, but it's so weird and I've always made fun of it. I feel like the person who designed LA was on weed, and the person who designed New York was on cocaine.
Yes.
Like the way everything is so smushed and tight together, like they're in New York, and it's like, it's just go, 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 where LA is so laid back and just super sensitive, and we just can't handle drama, whereas New York is the complete opposite.
And then Vegas was just shrooms, clearly.
Oh, for sure.
Here's a blow up, a lit up unicorn, and here's a carousel
and a stripper.
Yeah, and a stripper. Yeah, and a dentist office.
All on the same strip.
That is Vegas.
That is Vegas in a nutshell. Dani, where can people find you on social media?
I'm at Ms. Dani Fernandez. It's MsDaniFernandez.
Perfect. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you.
So really quickly, I'm going to talk about a struggle I've been having, and then we'll get into your struggle. Okay. So, and I think this is one you can relate to, I think, simply because your online presence is really strong. You are super into, you're in, the comic book world. You do, you've been to Comic-Con before, and, you've spoken on panels and stuff, right? At Comic-Con. And I think as a woman in that universe, that's got to be difficult. I mean, being a woman in any universe is extremely difficult. You're a woman, you're a woman of color in that universe. So, getting shit on regularly is kind of is one of the things that we have to deal with. So my struggle that I had is just it's broad in that it's just people. it's just people. I don't understand why people are so shitty. Unnecessarily shitty. This just happened this week. I had a tweet from somebody who said, "Hey, I used to be a fan of your podcast, The Struggle, but you got rid of Mal. That's fucked up, so you lost a follower." And I'm just first of all, so Mal was my co-host before. And I'm first of all, that's not a way to speak to somebody at all.
Right.
If you are that upset about anything, just unfollow me or stop listening. You don't have to tell me.
Right.
You don't have to come to on my timeline and tell me this. That's a dick move. And then also, so I need to explain, because I guess maybe there was some confusion. Maybe you guys didn't hear the episode where I explained what happened with Mal, my co-host, my first co-host. I did not get rid of Mal. Mal accidentally knocked up his girlfriend and had to move back to San Diego. All right. So that's what happened. Mal ain't here anymore because his pullout game sucks. That's why Mal ain't here anymore. All right.
It's Mal's fault that he's not here.
It's Mal's fault. I didn't fire him. And that's not the first time someone has question me about that. And you could say, hey, what happened? And that's fine. You can say just like that. Mm-hmm. But this dude was jumping to a conclusion, a negative conclusion, right? You just created this narrative of me being a bitch and just getting rid of somebody. And I don't know if me being a woman had anything to do with it. I always wonder, when someone speaks to me a certain way, we have to, because it does dictate how we get spoken to a lot of the times, our gender. But I was why did he immediately think I was the one that fired him? And then why are you so upset about it? Were you in love with Mal? You know what I'm saying? There's so many layers to
I honestly think that social media has allowed people to think that everyone's opinion matters and that they are they're able to access you and in such a intimate way, directly.
Yeah.
It used to be they would have to go through an agent, a manager.
Right.
No,
now it's direct message.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And same with athletes. They can directly tweet at athletes and they'll see,
It's so insane that I could literally send Trump a tweet right now, our president.
And he would probably see it.
And he would respond, right? Not that I want to, unless it's negative. I would do that all day. But
I think also hearing your voice every week and following you, every single day, they develop this false sense of knowing you. They do know you, but not in a way that where a friend could talk to you. Where you know, one of your guy friends, and I deal with this all the time because Iffy, my co-host of my podcast,
Iffy. I'm going to have him on too.
Iffy Wadiway, we might tease each other back and forth on Twitter. That's because we've known each other for years.
You're allowed to do that.
And other men will hop in there and say shit to me. I'm like, no. You don't know me like that. You don't get to say that to me. This is like a brother teasing me. You're not my brother. And I know that you think that you know me, but I don't know you. That's the thing is you might be following me every day and you think you know me, but I don't know you.
That's exactly what it boils down to. But what is so interesting to me about this is what type of person, because even if I listen to something regularly, I would know, you know what I'm saying? That I wouldn't reach out to some person and start that conversation with them because I listen to me, that's common sense.
Yeah.
But it's just boundaries. And I don't know, why certain people don't get that, but it's just not something that would even dawn on me to do, to just reach out and say something so negative to somebody that I don't even know.
I used to work in customer service, and I can tell you that those people, they take out their problems on you because they think because they can.
Yeah.
Because they might not be able to on someone else, and they think it's going to make them feel better, and it never does. That's the thing that I realized with trolling online is people think and I remember, I think it was Brie Larson or something years ago, she tweeted this isn't going to make you feel better. And that was the best response to a troll.
That is
and I've seen comics do it when people heckle. I think I can't remember who it was, but it was a female comic. Should I not talk?
Oh, the sirens.
I remember it was a comic and who was being heckled, and she was like, I can't be what you need or something,
That's great.
Isn't that funny though? It's you clearly have a problem.
Yeah.
You need attention. Yeah. I can't give it to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry your mother didn't love you.
Yeah,
that's what you want to say. Yeah,
exactly.
Sometimes I'll just be like, I'm sorry about your penis. And so,
that too.
because at the end of the day, sometimes that's just what it boils down to.
If you had a good dick, you wouldn't be acting like this. Or if you're a woman and you were getting good dick, you wouldn't be acting like this.
You wouldn't be acting like this.
I'm sorry you're not getting good dick and you don't have a good dick.
It's so true. And it's so true. And I will like to also say that unfortunately, most of the times it is men that are the ones saying such super negative things online. And it is that there is something to do with this. So there is a gender thing that plays into it. Because you're attacking a woman that you don't know verbally for no reason at all, or for attention, or for whatever self-work you need to do on yourself. Yeah.
I think, another thing is that we live in a society that has prized their voice over ours.
Yeah.
And so I think to them, it's they've never not known that. They never not known a life where their voice wasn't prized
of value.
Especially over a woman of color.
Right.
So it's it's very easy for someone to say something to you because they've always been valued over you.
Right. God damn it.
I deal with that so much. I mean,
know,
aside from dealing in comedy, I deal with that and it's really frustrating. Sometimes Iffy will I'll be speaking up on an issue and I'll have guys like trying to explain to me why I'm wrong. Iffy will pop in and be like, no, this is why she's right. And they're like, oh, you're right, bro. Yeah, I got it. And they'll like back off having a man.
I just said that.
I know.
And I literally just said the same exact thing.
And at times it makes me so bitter.
Of course.
If you follow Iffy, you'll see that we both post thirst traps, but guess who gets called brave and guess who gets called a slut?
Of course.
If he posts in a towel, I never posted in a towel. He posted in a towel, like his towel barely covering, and it's like,
trust me, I saw it.
You can't not see it. It's all over the timeline. But he's seen as what? Like he's upheld on a pedestal for doing that. And me, I'm not. I'm a slut for doing it. I'm like an attention whore for doing it. It's the same exact thing.
The same dynamic.
He's wearing less than I am.
I was just about to say that. And yours, like you're always like, you're either.
Mine are tasteful.
You're tasteful. And they're like professional like photos. But his will be just like literally him in his
bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I did just talk to somebody because I saw it and I was like, he's married. And I was like, I wonder if his wife is comfortable. Because like to me, that would make me super insecure if my man was just online posting like him in a towel, because he got body. He got body. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, I might have a problem with this because it would make me insecure.
Yeah. No, I think him and Aurora, his wife, have a really great relationship. And Iffy and I are both like, we work so well because we're both very sex positive. Like we're both very like, you do you. Yeah. We're pro sex work. We're pro like all of that and pro body positivity. Yeah. And that's reflective of our feeds. It's just when I do it,
the reaction is completely different.
Or I'm asking to be sexually harassed by posting these photos. Yeah. And by that, I mean like men who, when I see, let's say Michael B. Jordan, I see Michael B. Jordan's Instagram and he posts a really hot photo. I don't think he's posting it for me. He's not posting it for me. I'm not thinking, you know what? Michael B. Jordan wants to date me specifically. Right. But men think that when I post it, that it's for them. For them. This random man I don't know at all that lives in South Dakota. It's not for you. Just enjoy. Do what I do with Michael B. Jordan's. You like it. You might save it, but you like it. Yeah. And you leave him alone.
And that's fine. That's fine. That's the proper reaction to that.
And so that's what we're trying to change. Iffy and I are both trying to change that conversation and that dynamic of sexuality. That just because someone is sexual doesn't mean that it's for you.
Of course. Yeah. Right. Just let me live my life.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this kind of what's happening right now. It kind of ties into with the whole the zeitgeist of the Kardashians, but now with Jordan Woods, the chick who was Kylie's one of her best friends, and then she allegedly slept with Tristan Thompson, Khloe's baby daddy, who she was still together with until this happened. But it's just interesting because again, no one's calling Tristan out his name, but they're calling Jordan a slut, a whore. You deserve this, blah, 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 blah. But it's like he's the one, they both had a loyalty to people in this situation, but it's like she's catching for sure more heat because it's just more acceptable for men to just have that behavior.
One, she said, I did not sleep with him.
She did say she didn't.
And even if she had, how many women has he slept with?
Exactly. I mean, he's obviously the problematic one.
Getting around.
He's the problematic one for sure.
But it's not his fault, right? So, and he doesn't take the blame. She takes this one singular woman as opposed to the fact that he's slept with probably like 12 women in the span of a week.
Probably, right. I was going to say since he's been dating Khloe, but no, it's probably in this month. Like he gets around.
From the parties and situations. But I mean, it's a different standard. It's a different.
Well, I applaud you and keep doing what you're doing. I think just in general as women in comedy, we have to keep all doing even if it's just getting up on stage every night because we're defeating and conquering stereotypes about. I literally just had a guy come up to me a week ago. I had a spot at the store in the main room and I had a good set and I'm just in the hallway talking to another comic and the guy walks by, he leaves the show and he goes, oh man, he was like, oh, you were pretty funny for a woman.
No. Oh, I can't handle that.
And I can't. The fact that another guy, the guy who I was talking to, another male comic he saw it. And I was just like, that makes me happy because you are now witnessing. Because I think a lot of times you can detach. A lot of men can detach when they hear women complaining about the stuff that we go through because they're like, I've never seen it. So it's a lot of it. Is it even true? Are they just, blowing this all out of proportion? And it's like, no. Like, and that's not the first time I've heard it. I've heard it numerous times. I hear it regularly, and it's not the last time. So it's like the fact that this dude witnessed it, and he said to me, he was like, that makes me, I think it made him madder than it made me because I hear it all the time. We become desensitized to it. Yes. But this dude, he's now seeing it for the first time. And he's like, you hear about these things, but you don't actually. And I'm like, yeah, man, it happens to us all the time. So I'm just happy that he was there. And he was like, he said some comforting words and he was like, fuck that dude. He's like, you should have punched him in the face. And I was like, calm down.
It would have been warranted.
Yeah. It would have been warranted 100%. But also, I can't risk messing up my face.
I know. Or going to jail. That's true. I almost got in a fight last night.
With who?
And I've been working out. It was my girlfriend's party. It was a birthday party, and there was like a VIP area, and she was about to go on stage because she was singing. And she sat in the VIP, like she just sat for a second before she was going up on stage. And these like middle-aged ladies turned to her and was like, if you sit here, we'll punch you in the face. Yeah, they were drunk.
What?
And had horrible plastic surgery.
And that was so specific. They said, I'll punch you in the...
Yeah. And I was like, I haven't been working out for nothing. Like, I'm ready. I'll try this out.
I don't know if I can hold my own right now, but I'm willing to try.
A part of me was like, do I want to go to jail?
It's not worth it. Right. Yeah. It's not worth it. Most of these white ladies, hilarious.
Yeah.
The entitlement, man.
They're not used to hearing no. Yeah, I even have that in my mentions, and I think they get upset when you bring up race, but it is a portion of it when they're used to being heard over you.
Yes,
over you.
Why do you think? That's why I love when I see like a white woman. I don't love it, but it is entertaining to me. But when I see a white woman going off on like a cop, which I have seen on a couple of occasions, like I'm like, you're the only person
that could do that
can speak like that to a police officer.
Yeah.
So like. I just remember one time I was leaving Trader Joe's, and the parking lots in Trader Joe's can be, you just get into a fist fight because everyone is just the parking lot at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. If you want to get stabbed, like, because people are just so rowdy because their spaces are so tight and everyone's trying to get in there. So it's awful. But I remember this one time parking was awful. And then this cop had pulled somebody over in the alley that was leading out to the street from the Trader Joe's parking lot, and he was blocking traffic. So like this one way for us to get out was being blocked by this cop because he had to pull somebody over and park in this alley. Yeah. And this white lady, I saw her getting out of her car. I was like, go white lady, because I knew she was going to speak for all of us. I mean, she was really speaking for herself, but I was like, you're the only one that can get away with this right now. So please speak for all of us. And I was just like, it is the entitlement and the privilege. And somebody tweeted earlier today, I saw it and I had to respond to it, but they were like, talking about like all the black women that had won Oscars since the beginning of the Oscars. And it's only like 17, if that. I might be rounding up. It might be like 12. So he listed them and then said, like, this is unacceptable. And then I responded and I was like, and think about the Hispanic women and the Asian women that aren't even considered at all. And I said, this is why white women can't be in the discussion when we're talking about diversity, because they're not.
Yeah.
They've been winning for this whole entire time. Like I was watching even with like, last year, I remember when they were doing like the montage of all the women that were winning like during the Oscars, not this year, but last year. And it was all white women. And then Halle Berry, who's half white, by the way. And then, who was it? Hattie McDaniel, who had won, I think, back in the day for like she played a mammy or something like that. And she won an Oscar for it. So it's just like, I'm looking at, and I'm like, that's not diverse. Like, white women are not a part of the conversation. I'm sorry. Because I know they try to be because they're women. And I understand that women need to be represented more, but your whiteness trumps that. Like, your whiteness has been protecting you for such a long time.
That's what I think of whenever I see these diversity, like writer's room type of things. And, but if you hire a white woman, it's still an all white room.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
how diverse is that?
Yeah. And no, but they still include them in the diversity conversation.
And it's not fair. They're benefiting from the diversity, and it's like, y'all ain't diverse.
That bothered me a little bit with last year with Natalie Portman pointing out that there was an all men. Remember her statement about like these all male directors? Even though I think Jordan was in there.
I think so, yeah.
And Guillermo was in there. And I'm like,
you gotta acknowledge that.
And I was just like, but you didn't point out these other ones that had only white women.
Yeah.
Like that is, if you want to talk about being inclusive, you got to do that.
Yes.
You got to be like, not, and I'm like, I'm all for it. If you want to call out this all men directing thing, even though we had a Mexican director win and this year we had a Mexican director win, that's a big deal for us.
For sure.
But if you want to call out that they're all men, I'm here for it. But girl, you better call out those other categories that had only white women in them last year, because like a lot of, there was several.
They're not, because they think just because they're women that's representative of diversity.
Like I think it was for the grant. I think Issa was in one. Yeah, I remember, and so like that. But there were several where there were no women of color.
Like it's insanity. Do you know who Amber Ruffin is? Amber Ruffin is a writer, and she might do like sketch and stuff. I'm not sure about that 100%. I think she's mostly a writer, but she was writing on, I think, Late Night with Seth Meyers. Okay, and she was, and this blew my mind when I read this. She is the first Black woman to write for Late Night. In 2017, I think she got 2017, 18, the first Black woman to write for Late Night, not to write for Seth Meyers, to write for Late Night. We're talking Johnny Carson, David Letterman, all the Tonight shows, all of these late night talk shows that we have had since the 50s, 60s, whatever, 30s, whatever. This is the first Black woman.
We're still having our firsts. Isn't that crazy?
In fucking 2019.
In this year, we're still having a lot of our firsts. It's hard. I mean, yeah. That's why I just keep fucking bringing this up.
That's why we can't go away. We can't.
That's why I don't give up, to be honest. Every time, even though I've made it pretty far in the 5-ish years that I've been here, but every time I think about giving up, I'm like, well, I've already made it farther than other women of color, than other Latinas, then I've made it farther than any other woman in my family.
For sure.
I can't, like, out of my responsibility, I can't take myself out of the conversation. I've already made it this far.
It's so true. I think about that all the time. Like, because people, like, we get frustrated. We get, and we're at points now where it's like career-wise stuff is really like it's starting to move. And, in comedy, it takes forever. Like, you gotta, when you're first getting into stand-up, you have to plan out, I need to do this for at least 10 years for the rewards to start being reaped. Like, that's how long it takes. Like, you really just need to stay with it. So we've, of course, all had that conversation with ourselves or with our peers, just like, man, I don't know if I can keep, because it's so like rewarding for so long. So, but I tell myself, Candice, you're in too deep. You cannot, you have a social responsibility now to represent and speak and be a role model to so many women and women of color specifically, to keep, and also to give them opportunities, because that's one of the things I want to do, is to have my own production company and employ mostly women of color. And so it's like I can't, because nobody's doing that. And it's like, so somebody has to. So we're talking about first. So it's like, let's manifest it. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get into your struggle.
Oh my gosh, my struggle is kind of related to this, I guess. Something that you would relate to, I think, being a comic. I constantly need outside validation, no matter what, for every aspect of my life. And it's fascinating. I've talked to my therapist about this, and it's like, I think she wants me to get to a point where me complimenting my body is as great as someone else. I'm like, but it's not, though.
But it's
and it
not.
Never will be. She's like, doesn't that feel better? No, it doesn't.
No.
It feels much nicer when the person you like compliments your body than when you do.
I'm not going to lie. That is better.
It is. It is. I mean, there's no, how do you argue with that?
I know.
But the argument that she makes is, they can give, they can take it away. And that's so true. They have you give them the power that
so
in
true.
Relationships,
that's
true. That you become.
Why she got to ruin that for me? Why she ruining compliments for me?
Needy. Not needy, but I definitely need validation from outside sources.
We all do. Anyone who's in this industry to be a performer needs validation. And I'm sorry, you can't say that you don't, because we're getting up in front of complete strangers and wanting them to laugh at what we do. Yeah. Like that's, and the balls of us to think that we can do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's not something a normal person, there's something in us that is driving us to need that validation. For sure. Everyone that's performing an actor, a comic, musicians. I don't care what, if you're in entertainment in front of the camera, you have that in you. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, if it weren't for that, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. We wouldn't be entertaining people.
But I think at times it affects our happiness.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
It's so where is the balance there of I do need outside validation, but if I don't get it from these people, how can I get it for myself?
For sure. Well, it's so interesting and also a timely struggle, just because, you know, we just lost a comedian friend not too long ago, Brody Stevens. And it's like, and you can see where that can become a problem when you look at his example and so many other people, where it's like, when you think about like this emotional roller coaster and emotional health of being in this industry. And I was literally just, when I had Barron on the show, I was talking about like how you get this close to getting something and you're on this high when you think you nailed it. And then you get the news you didn't.
That's our entire life. It is so traumatizing.
If you can't handle rejection well, this is not the industry for you, because we're getting rejected on a daily, if not weekly, if not daily, definitely monthly,
daily, sometimes hourly.
Oh, for sure. There's been time if you're working and you're like going out regularly and having audition after, like there's been times where I've got no. Like, I remember just last year, it was like I was going out for things and it was like, no. It was like I took maybe 8 no's in a row. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And then I got one thing and it was like, oh, at least I got this. But it's like, you do. And if you're not emotionally healthy, you're not mentally well. And I'm a person who is those things. Like, I am those things. Like, and thank God, because how do you manage that when you're not? Like, I'm looking at it from someone who is healthy in those aspects, mental and emotionally, for at least from what I can tell. Like, I just know I'm not on pills, and I know I'm not as bad as some of my friends that I interact with. But still, I'm just like, I can imagine what Brody, for example, was going through when he felt like, you feel hopeless. You feel like, especially when you're like, he was 48 years old, and you're just like, I still haven't had that moment. What has this all been building up to? And I still haven't gotten my time to shine yet. And then at one point, you just feel like you're worthless.
Yeah. I think it's also because of comparison.
Absolutely.
Because I think most of us and our friends are doing better than they give themselves credit for. It's just that they're comparing themselves to people that are above their level. Yeah. Once you get to you work so hard and you get to this level and you can't even appreciate that level. You're just looking at the next level. Yep. You don't compare yourself to those people anymore. No. You don't compare yourself to the people that were at the level below you and you now have surpassed them. No, you don't care about them.
It's always the ones above.
It's always the ones above. And I think because if you look at Brody, you know, he was in a lot of movies and
for sure.
But I can totally understand. Like, I'm like that. I'm like,
we're all like
I don't care about the people I went to high school with. I only care about Academy Award winning actors.
Of course,
you know, like that's where I want to be. And so
you're like, how come I'm not getting it yet? So yeah, you forget about the stuff that you have achieved, which is still so much more than anyone, or not anyone, but a lot of people in this industry ever will. Because you think about I think about a lot of the comics that I came up with, like doing open mics with and stuff like that, who come up to me and they're like, Candice, like, you're killing it right now. And I'm like, am I? Yeah. Because I feel like I'm not killing it right now, but to them, I am.
Right.
They're like, I wish I had my name on the wall at the store. I wish that I was like going on the road and headlining clubs. They're like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that, whatever, but I want to be on a television show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had to stop saying that I wasn't successful because it made people angry.
It's true. We don't think about those people, but that's like
people were like, "You're not stop. You're in a Disney film playing yourself," and I was just like, "Okay," but like same thing. It's like, great. I want to be the star of it. That would be great.
What's next?
Like what's next? Yeah, I would like to have written that film. Right. I would like to I have other goals. I have other goals. But I was in turn. All those people that said that to me, I'm like, well, you have a family and I don't. You own a home and I don't. Like, if I look at my brother, you own a home and you have 2 kids. I can't afford 2 kids. You know how successful you have to be to have 2 kids?
Especially in LA.
That's a different level of success.
For sure.
You know, you're just comparing my success. And that wasn't my brother. My brother is very happy with his family. He's like, you do your little thing, Dani. But I mean, other people who are in love. I'm not in love.
Yeah, no.
So I could reply to them immediately and be like, you've been with your girlfriend for 3 years. I I'm divorced. Like, you're successful in a different way. So if I'm not allowed to say that I'm not successful, you're not allowed to either.
Right.
You know, I have an autoimmune disorder I have to take care of. There are people that are healthy because they don't have one. So I'm like, you don't get to tell me.
Right.
Like, you are more successful in that way than I am.
Yeah, it's all, we do compare. We constantly, but I think that's what, like, going back to what your therapist was saying, is like, we have to find that within, because then we're not going to be comparing ourselves to other people. I'm not going to, if I can tell myself I look beautiful, then I'm not going to be on Instagram all in my feelings when I see somebody who's like, who's gorgeous, because I'm like, I'm gorgeous. I don't need to look like this. I love the way I look. So it's that we do need to find that inner validation, but that's hard. That's something I don't even know if it's something that I could even just, I think it'd be something I have to work on. I don't know if it would ever be like just this thing that my go-to mindset. I would have to remind myself to behave like that in order to get rid of the habit of comparing myself to people like that. I would have to tell myself every day, Candice, validate yourself. Yeah. Validate yourself. I don't think it's anything that would just become habit for me.
Yeah. I've been working on a lot of these thoughts, and I try to like turn them around as far as like, is this true? Yeah. Do I know? Like, me would be like, oh, I'm never going to make it. And it was like, is that true? No, I don't know the future, you know, or I'll never find love. Is that true? No. Again, I don't know the future. Yeah. So I've been trying to like talk myself out of absolutes. Yeah. I find that helpful.
Yeah. Because you don't know. You don't.
Yeah, not psychic.
No, we're all just out here, and we're just got to be present. Work with what's in front of you right now. Don't worry about tomorrow, because it's not even there yet.
But I do feel like at the beginning when you were like, oh, I have a really strong online presence, that is a part of it. One, I would not have my career without that. I used a lot of social media to build my career and build my following and get invited to places. But two, it's a double-edged sword because I live online. Yeah. I see what people write me. Yeah. If something I post or whatever doesn't do good, it's like I take that internally, you know? Or even if I'm posting about a show. Yeah, exactly.
How can you not?
But I rely on it too much.
But it's hard. How do you find that balance? Because it's your livelihood. You know, like as artists, we have to be online. We have to have a presence there. And so it, at the same time, works to our detriment because we're just surrounded by the worst people saying the meanest things to us. But what do you do when it's like, that's my paycheck? And also we get jobs because people see how many followers you have. And it's just, I honestly don't know what to do. To balance what that takes mentally is very difficult because people are bullies and people are, like I said, that was my struggle. People are trash.
That was your struggle.
People are trash.
I would say the only thing that I can keep doing is making stuff with my friends. Like, in that way, I'm like, I don't even care if this person doesn't like it. Like, this is for me. Yeah. So I think, you know, a lot of my work at times, I think this is for me, or, you know, the people that matter care about it. And that's all I care about.
Yeah. I think that is important for sure. I'm like really in my feelings now because I just think about like being online and stuff, and I just know that like it's so toxic, and I know it's not going away, and I don't know what would ever change the environment. I feel like it's just a cesspool of the worst people.
Yeah. I think I think like scientifically we're not supposed to be staring at screens for that long. Like, I think it's fucked with, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it's fucked with people's heads.
No, it's fucked with people's heads, but also it's fucked with our literal, like our eyes are getting worse because
our eyes,
of it. Like our bodies were not designed.
Serotonin levels, we're fucking up our sleep by looking at it so much that like it affects our sleep cycles.
Absolutely. They have glasses now. Have you seen their glasses that you are supposed to wear at night if you're on your computer?
Not at the night ones, but like if you're looking at a screen for long periods of time, they have them for people that do that work. I think that might be why. And also just the constant comparison. Before, if we look at people back in the 50s or whatever, they didn't necessarily see, there wasn't Instagram to see this person on this trip and then this, and like that's all you're seeing. You're bombarded. And it's not just one person. You're bombarded by everybody's highlights constantly.
Everybody's.
That's why I try to post my lowlights a lot.
This is me in bed eating mashed potatoes covered with macaroni and cheese.
I mean, I post about, because I have depression, I post about depression often. And it went originally when we first started having these conversations, a lot of comics would use it as you're just looking for attention type of shit. And now I think a lot of them are like, oh shit, you have a problem. And also, oh shit, I also have a problem. I think a lot of them were hiding. They put up a wall, like, don't start this conversation. You know, she just wants to play victim and do it for attention. And then it was like, oh shit, you know, this is a necessary conversation. And now I've realized the more that I talk about it, I also have depression or something. I think that comics are starting to change how they don't have to be as, you know, when you're on stage, you have to be, impenetrable.
Oh,
you know,
sure,
anyone could throw anything. You can't have a weakness.
Yeah, no, you can't
let a heckler get to you. You can't be saying like I'm suicide. I mean, people do joke about it.
Right.
But I mean, you know, in a way that it's like, haha, and then it's like, oh no, I'm actually vulnerable. I'm going to allow myself to be vulnerable. And there are a lot of comics that are doing such great work with that.
Well, that's what why Hannah Gadsby's, I think, special was so important, because I know it got a lot of blowback, but it allowed, went up there and, like, jokes aside, you know, she did the jokes up front and then got to the message of, is like, as a comedian, we're not letting ourselves heal because we're hiding under the mask of a joke. Yeah. And so, did you watch her special at all?
No.
It's powerful. And again, a lot of people are like, this isn't stand up. And you're right. The second half of it wasn't. The first half was. You can't deny those are jokes she's telling and that she wrote for the special. But then the second half is just she's taking off. She's saying, I'm not doing stand-up anymore because of stand-up is why I haven't allowed myself to heal from all these traumas that made me funny in the first place. Because we can't let the audience see that side of us.
Right.
So that's what she's saying. Fuck that now. She's like, I want to heal and get better and I want to spread more positivity. So I'm not going to make jokes about my rape or the way that I get bullied because I'm a gay woman. So she's like, I'm not doing that anymore. I just want to talk about my experiences without having the expectation of having to be the monkey on stage and joking about things that actually hurt me. But that's exactly what you're saying. Like, as comedians, we feel like we can't. Like, we don't get to the meat of what's causing these problems, because if we show vulnerability on stage, that means she's weak or he's weak and now a heckler can make fun of me or whatever. We have to put on this, I'm tough and nothing phases me. And it takes a toll.
The best comedians I know are ones that are secure enough that they don't feel like they have to be funny all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've seen people that, like, it'll be a serious thing and they'll be like, coming in with my hacky joke. Yeah. And I'm like, you are so insecure that you can't even have a serious conversation. You have to, like, throw in this hacky, you know, overused fucking joke in here. Like, I'll post something serious on Facebook or something and someone will come in with like, haha, but also, you know, I'm like, I'm not going to fucking book you. What the fuck are you, you know, like, what is this? Who are you trying to entertain?
So many people just have to, can my post just be my post? Like, can my post just live for a minute? Why you got to come in here with your tags that aren't even as funny as the original post? Like, now you are punching down my joke. Just stay off my timeline. Like, I don't get it.
Great comedians can make, like, anything funny, but they don't feel that they have to. You know what I mean? Like, that's when it comes across as genuine, when they relate to it, when it's like something necessary.
Yep, in that moment, right. It'll just happen organically. You don't have to force it. But no, that's very true. Like, I've noticed that with my stand-up just over the years, like, I'm getting more comfortable with silence on stage, which is something that I know that a lot of us struggle with, because you're up there and you're like, if you're not getting laughs, they don't like me. But now it's like, fuck you. I'm not doing this for you. Like, I'm doing this for me right now. And I can take a moment, I can take some time. And I've noticed that my sets are getting stronger because I'm working it like that. And now I'm just like, I'm getting so just like my voice is just getting stronger because I know that this is me. And if I need to take where before I would just rush through my joke, that ain't me. That was what I thought I needed to do to please you guys. But I know I don't have to do that anymore.
Also, how great is it to just sit in something?
So good.
Like, you get so much, like, you have the weight, you have everyone's attention, you can just, like, sit in something.
And they're with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and you can do a joke and you can do a pun, but you can also that's what they do. And, like, look at some award-winning television and stuff. Like, that's my favorite thing about shows. That I love dramedies, but, you know, if I look at something like Insecure or Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Atlanta, like, it's not joke. It's like joke, something very funny, something traumatic that you get to sit in, something funny again. That is life.
And I think it has changed what comedy is, and which is great because it's going to open up the doors. Because again, it's like this industry is so much like, oh, this formula works, so it has to be this formula over and over and over and over and over. So when you see something new, which is why the Hannah Gadsby thing was like, oh shit, this is like, now we are seeing different types of comedy specials now.
Yeah.
Some of them are trash. And not comedy at all. But again, I'm not that there's a place for it. And if it's going to inspire something out of something else that's going to create another way to express comedy, then I'm all for it. Or not just comedy in general, but art. And so I'm here for it. So, yeah, no, that's great. So with your validation, do you feel like, well, self-validation, and you hearing that with your therapist, do you feel like you have been taking what she's saying and applying it? Like,
yeah. I've been trying to.
And so what is your like process with that? Like, are you literally, are you one of those people like with affirmations in the mirror?
Oh,
and you're like, how are you applying it?
Oh man, I do a lot of self-talk though. I'm sure people would think I'm crazy, but whatever.
I think self-talking is completely healthy.
If you ever run across me and I'm talking out loud to myself, I'm just rehearsing.
Yeah. That's the best part of like being in Hollywood is that you can actually blame it on an audition.
My lines.
You can have sweaty armpit stains and be like, I'm in character. And you're like, I just didn't wash the shirt today.
I will literally do that to myself. I will be in like a bathroom of like movie theater and be like, really? You're going to cry over this guy? This guy? Have you seen him? Have you seen you? You're going to do that?
Yeah.
Really? Really, Dani? Yeah.
I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy as long as you're not hearing voices and having like full on like back and forth.
I think that though. Yeah.
I do that too. I think a lot of like people do that. I think they have conversations with them because you have to check yourself. You're like, really, Candice? Like, I'll do that. Like, did you just really? Yeah. But I think also, Issa does it on Insecure. So
true.
That means it's okay.
True. She has truly changed how I write, and I'm so happy. Like I was saying, you don't have to always have. I'm like, a scene doesn't have to end with a joke. You can actually just sit in it.
Let weirdness and awkwardness happen because that is what life is. I just read because people don't understand how much art really does impact society and just life in general. But I don't know if you've seen this because I think this might be a new one, but I think someone else had written an article about it. But I just saw one, I forget what website I was on, but about how the sitcom Friends was basically the downfall of America. And then I read it and I was like, you know what? This actually makes sense. And I wish I could give a shout to the person who wrote it, but basically it's about Ross. Did you watch the show?
Oh my gosh.
Did you watch the show?
Yeah. Wait, Ross is David Schwimmer? Yeah.
So basically, Ross is the intellectual on the show. He's the scientist. He's the one who's got, career-wise, he's probably the most successful out of everybody on the show. Chandler was like, he was fine, but I wouldn't say that he had like a career. He had like a job. It was just more like a job for him. He went and made decent money, but it wasn't like anything that like he was passionate about, where Ross was like science was his thing. But then the rest of them, Joey was an idiot. Rachel what did she do? She was kind of just like a spoiled child. Monica found cooking eventually, but still like the rest of them, like Ross was the smart one. Let's put it that. Ross was the smart one. The rest of them kind of bullied him like down to being one of them. So this guy is breaking down in this article like how they kind of bullied him into being just like a regular person when he was the one that was the star, like he should have been. But he was like, this is when society started, like when this show was on, you like he was like, I think Trump got elected because of Friends. And it was just so funny. And I don't know if there's any truth to it.
I love the boldness.
He was like, this is when our society started being mean to nerds. Like, and it's like, it's true. Like, I remember growing up and being like, and making fun of people who were nerds. But I don't know. That had to have been
They did it in the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
If you look at like those old, like Animal House, like type of like fratty.
Right. Oh, yeah. Like Revenge of the Nerds. Okay.
Yeah. If you look back at those movies, they also were doing it. Back to the Future.
Yeah. McFly. Yeah. I think.
With Biff.
I think that Biff. Yeah. I think that, his point was just because of the popularity of Friends and how it was such a successful, like, yeah, you had those movies, but this show was on like weekly for like a decade, and it just kind of got ingrained into us to treat smart people like this when they're the ones who actually change the world.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's better to be the nerd than the popular kid.
I mean, yeah, those people grow up to be millionaires.
Absolutely.
They start companies.
Absolutely.
They find formulas and
cure diseases, right? And we need them. Stop giving them wedgies, guys. If you're out there making fun of a nerd right now, stop it.
Yeah.
So like, it's so interesting, like, to have these discussions because I like having my friends on and talking about things that like are challenging to them. But like, do you feel like we need the validation from the crowds, I think, to get us to continue to go up on stage? You see what I'm saying? Like, if that goes away and you're completely satisfied by yourself, do you think you'll still have the drive for your career?
Oh, absolutely not. I made a joke today that people were like, I was like, oh, the secret to my success is just never being happy with anything I do.
See? But see, that's
so that I just have to keep working and like.
So if we're happy,
yeah.
What does that mean for our careers?
I think there has to be a balance. I do believe I'm not one of those people that believes that you have to be a struggling artist in order to make good art.
I
think that's a really dangerous narrative that has kept people from pursuing help, kept a lot of people in our community from getting help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I do think that it is a narrative of like, I'm funny because I'm joking about my trauma, I'm joking about my depression or the horrible things that happen to me. And if I didn't have those, what would I joke about?
Yeah.
But there are comics that have found that could joke about anything.
And it's true. And like, I have had conversations with so many comics because I kind of am an example of like, you don't have to go through too much trauma. Like I have my pain. Obviously we all do, but mine was not as like my pain and why I'm funny is because I developed a defense mechanism because growing up being a black girl who didn't look traditionally black, I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. So I had black people like pulling my hair, black girls being like, you're an Oreo and just being mean to me. Even in my own family, my sister was mean to me, saying like calling me white. One time she said, she didn't call me white, but she said one time when I said the term 24/7, back when the term 24/7 was like coming, it was brand new. She said she was like, why are you acting? I said 24/7. I said, you're on the phone 24/7. And she goes, why are you trying to talk black now? And I was like, because I had like white friends in school. Because again, like black people didn't naturally gravitate. When I walk in a room, black people I don't get the nod from black people. They don't look at me and be like, she's one of us. They're like, what? I don't know what she is.
But white people don't think you're white.
Some of them do. Ignorant white people think I'm white. Because they just don't know what ethnicity looks like.
I mean, I would assume that you live in like a limbo of like that's teetering, how a lot of mixed people teetering. You don't really fit in here. You don't fit in there.
Exactly. You're just in this weird space of like, and I just got to make it work wherever I land. And so that's where my pain came from. And that's why I got funny is because I was like, I need a defense mechanism to break this tension, whatever's happening here, because I feel uncomfortable. So I'm going to be funny. And then everyone that's universally like, I'll accept her now. So, but, we're in an industry with like, a lot of we're talking about molestation. We're talking about so many deep traumas, like never having a parent or father or never having a mother, that's deeper than what I had to go through. I at least from how I experience it. And so I get asked regularly, how are you funny? Like your parents loved you. And I'm like, I know, but that,
you don't deserve it.
But I get asked that regularly.
How
Candice,
dare you?
How dare you? You're not
You're
addicted.
a woman of color, so I will
Thank you.
allow it.
Allow you. Like you've had enough pain. Yeah, you get it. So, but it is like,
the other comics with two parents though, I get them out of here.
Yeah, they are not. If they white, if you are a cis,
I've seen them complaining about their struggle.
Straight, right. Get out of here.
And their parents live like 20 minutes from here.
And they have like a mansion and they're driving like a Land Rover. Get out of here. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. So it's just, if you don't have, it does help if you have a bunch of vices because you do have material. But you can also, again, like I do a lot of observational comedy because I don't have a lot. But you can, like I said, I'll just go on Wikipedia and find a topic, research it, and be like, oh, well, this is interesting. Let's try and write a joke about it. Just a random thing. And it's an exercise that everybody can do, One of my favorite comics is Josh Gundelman, who is just the nicest man.
Yeah.
I've never met him. I follow him on Twitter, though.
He was a writer on John Oliver. Now he's at Jesus and Marrow. And I'm just like, he is someone that proves that you can be a nice, good person and not harm anyone, and also be not suicidal like the rest of us. I mean, and I'm saying that as someone that very publicly has been open about an attempt that I had. I also wrote my pilot about life after my suicide attempt, and that got me all my reps and is now being like possibly optioned, which is really cool.
Fantastic.
But but I'm saying like, so me, I'm someone that had to put my trauma in my work. Josh is someone that didn't, or he talks about other things, but he doesn't have to be, he can be, I remember I think he was in a list of like the happiest comics or something. And I think other comics would see that
How come I wasn't on
I know. Why weren't you?
That hits me every time I see a list.
Our mutual friend, Mark Ellis.
I love Mark. Yeah.
I love Mark. I dated Mark for 3 years, and I honestly was like, do you just have like the Charlie Brown music playing in your head? Is it just like happy all the time? And it bothered me so much when we started dating that he was happy all the time. I was just like, what is the matter?
How are you doing that?
But it was great because I wasn't.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we both were dealing with that dark depression?
But so many couples do. And it's like it becomes a codependent type of situation, which isn't healthy.
It was another way that I was able to see someone work. Like I was able to see, and he's another guy that's just like Josh. That I mean, I knew him, but I dated him like intimately for 3 years, lived with him. He is the same person that he is. He's just a nice guy.
He's just nice, yeah.
He's just nice, and so is Josh. And so I want to say that you don't have to have that struggling, suicidal, like you can work to heal yourself.
Yeah. And that you don't know where that journey
funny.
And you don't know where that journey's going to take you.
Yeah.
Like what you're saying, like you creating that pilot about you attempting suicide is part of your healing.
Right. Yes.
So like you're not in that same place anymore, which is great, but you are still funny and you're still out here. And it's like you have now it's pushed you to this you've evolved and now, but you still, just because you've evolved and you're different doesn't mean that you don't have funny things to say anymore. Yeah. You have different things to say.
That's true.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to go through the pain, to get to the ultimate, of what this is all for. And it hurts sometimes, but it's worth it in the end. But again, that you don't have to live there,
The funniest thing to me about my suicide attempt was that I felt
I love what you just said. Say that again.
The funniest thing to me about my suicide attempt, a lot of funny things about it, to be honest.
Things that you would never think that you would hear somebody say. But that goes back to when people say you can't talk about certain topics. You can't joke about suicide. You can't joke about cancer.
To me, no one can tell me how I'm allowed to process my own trauma.
Yes.
And I have had people try to tell me online. I joke about, because I also had an eating disorder growing up, and I've joked about that, and people are like, that's a serious thing. How dare you? Or like, suicide isn't funny. And I'm like, it is to me, as someone who has dealt with
lived through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is to other people, I'm sure, who have also gone through the same thing.
And even if we're looking at Brody, who would joke about his depression, or people who were heavily affected by losing Brody, that is a part of their coping.
Yeah.
Is other comics who were so in love with this man joking about their own depression issues, as a way of talking about it is better than not talking about it, and hiding that in, and then also doing it.
Yeah.
So that was my way is after my attempt, speaking up about it became much easier, because the alternative was me doing what I did, not telling anyone, nobody knowing about it, and me trying to harm myself.
Same situation.
But what I was going to say, the funniest thing about my attempt was that when you attempt, like, you're in a place that there is no light at the end of the tunnel. You feel you suck at everything in your life. And then you try to kill yourself, and you suck at that too. It was like waking up. Like,
you do that on stage?
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've talked about that. I talk about that in my set. I've talked about that on stage, but it's
you can't even do this right.
I really fucking suck ass. I can't even kill myself right. Are you kidding me? God, I do fucking suck. Wow. Wow. And so anyways, I wrote an entire show about that, and it was great, and it's hopefully y'all will get to see it next year.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
To life.
Yeah,
but it's gotten a lot of great people to be interested in it, and I'm going to keep talking about it.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. But yeah, for listeners that you have sent me messages or just comments about like, you shouldn't joke about, stop it. just stop telling people what they can, number one, say, but also we can find funny, because there are people who are listening to this. I remember, this just happened not that long ago. I was on stage, and at one point I was working on like abortion stuff. Like I was trying to get 15 minutes of abortion material at one point. I'm not doing that right now just because I have other goals that I'm trying to work on. And I was like, how is this serving me right now? So I just was like, I'm going to put it aside for right now. But at one point I was trying to do 15 minutes of abortion material. And I got a message on my website from a chick who said, thank you. She said, this is the first time I've been able to laugh since I had an abortion. Yeah. About abortion. Not the first time she's been able to laugh, but the first time she's been able to laugh at having an abortion. She's like, it's because of you. And so for as many people are saying this is triggering, it's that many people that are also healing from it. True. But also the people that are saying they're triggered, are you really triggered by it? Or are you just jumping on the whole outrage bandwagon of saying you hear one word and you're like, oh, you can't, because that's what is trendy right now, for people to just be mad about stuff that they're not even really, they don't care about, just so they can have a voice on social media. So it's like, I don't even believe that half these people that are saying that this is triggering are even triggered by it. I think they're just speaking for other people and how they're supposed to behave so they can be woke or be on the right side.
They also, I think when you joke about something and someone says you can't joke about that, they assume that you haven't lived through it.
Absolutely.
There's already that.
That is why I'm joking about it.
Thank you. Same when I joke about depression and people would be like, you don't take mental health seriously. I mean, I had hundreds of people so mad at this joke that I made a long time ago, but whatever. It was in the fall, but I had all these people writing me. I'm like, you're already assuming that and two, you're telling me how you feel about it is more important than how I feel about it.
Exactly.
We're both in the same.
That's so true.
Like, even if, let's say we both have attempted suicide or something. So you're telling me that how you feel about suicide is more important than how I feel about it. That's just not true.
That's not valid.
I'm allowed to feel how I feel about it as someone personally involved or connected to it, and you can feel how you feel, but you can't tell me what to do. Yeah, or what I'm allowed to say about it.
Oh my gosh, goes back to my challenge. People are trash. You got stop telling people what they can and cannot say. Like, there's so many. We're against censorship. We should be against censorship for so many reasons. Like, it's just and also stop telling comedians. Like, why do they think that we can't speak on things unless it's like just a superficial type of joke? Like how they say, I've seen so many times with like my friends who, like Tony Baker, for example, he puts out those animal videos where he has the voiceovers, and then he'll say something like that's even mildly political. And then I see the comments that people put, stop, just stick to jokes, man. What?
When has comedy not been political? I mean, look back to like the King's Court, if we're talking about back in the like 1500s. I mean,
exactly.
They used to roast different people in the court. It's always been political.
It's always been political.
We look back at like Grecian times. I mean, I will pull out these history books.
She's like, I got receipts. I keeps receipts. Yeah, I'm going to tackle one thing. I've said it a couple times on stage, but it's not really fleshed out. But I'm going to talk about, because I was sexually assaulted when I was in college. And that's one thing that I've always been kind of like, that's hard. How do you make that funny? Like, that's one of the things. There's like certain things you can't, like, make cancer, right? Suicide. And rape. It's like, how do you make these funny? But I started working it out a little bit. The premise is that I was like, I don't think I have a Wikipedia page that was made about me yet. And I Googled myself, and someone did make this weird Wikipedia page about me, and it went on in detail about things about my life. So basically, this person listened to a podcast that I had done, and I had talked about, I think it was Michael Costa's Worst Birthdays podcast that I had done, Michael Costa from The Daily Show. And I talked about my worst birthday. I got sexually assaulted like right on my 21st birthday. And so this guy is going into detail, like what the events that happened that night. And I was like, is this my rapist writing my Wikipedia page?
She smelled like cinnamon.
I was like, did he write my page? And I was like, I'm his biggest credit then, I guess. But so I just said it kind of like that, and it actually did work. I think I tried it like twice.
That's funny.
And it worked, and I was like, so I guess you can make rape funny.
The skin was soft like a Tempur-Pedic.
Jason, is that you behind this Wikipedia page?
I mean, but it's how you deal with it. I love Bill Dixon has a great joke about, because his mom OD'd on heroin, and he has a joke, and it was like, she died doing what she loved. It's so dark. And he does it way better, but essentially it's that she died doing what she loved. How else is this man who lost his mom when he was young to heroin supposed to joke about it? It happened. You can't undo it.
So I might as well, if we don't laugh, we go crazy, guys. Just know that. Like, the more we sit in things and can't see the brighter side of what this awful thing that I went through and realize that it had a purpose, and now it's time for me to move.
I think it gives you power.
It gives you power, 100%.
Yeah. So
you can move past it.
It's not something that just happened to you.
Yep.
Because, or else it's just something that happens to you. You take the power back from it.
Yep.
One of my favorite things after I went back, had a very sad time and decided to listen to all of Adele. But she has in that
She's
first.
great for that.
I know she is. She knows how to touch in. That's a woman that clearly has trauma. She could she's raw.
The fact that she had her first album at 19, that was her first one, 19, and at that age.
I know.
And it's like, damn. So it's
she's lived a lot.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing in Rolling in the Deep is she says, I turn my sorrows into treasured gold. I'm like, that's what we do. We take our pain and we write it and we put it in these television shows or on stage or in our acting. I'm so glad that I've been able to bypass, I've taken classes now, but I didn't go to school for acting. I got to save thousands of dollars by just having a traumatic life. And when someone wants me to cry on cue.
Method.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Just go into the bank. Just go into the vault.
Just picture my molesting uncle coming at me.
Thank you for saving me $25,000.
It's so true. You got to turn the shit into gold. That's all it is. Aw, Dani, thank you. This was a great episode. Thank you so much for being here. You exceeded all of my expectations.
Oh, I always do.
Because, women aren't funny. And so when I have one on the episode that is funny, it's just kind of like, okay, I'll give women a shot.
There you go.
To all of my listeners, thank you for joining Into the Struggle one more time. If you have not subscribed, make sure you do that on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Videos are up there now. Rate and review us on iTunes and tell somebody about it. If you haven't passed on the word about the struggle, you're not doing me any favors or any of these amazing guests that I have on, you guys. So once again, social media, you can find me Jokes by Candice and CandiceThompsonComedy.com. And Dani, one more time, where can people find you online?
I'm at Ms. Dani Fernandez. And if you are in LA, I will be at WonderCon, like the nerd that I am. I'm on 2 panels. I think I'm on a panel on Friday and Saturday, but I posted on my social media. So yeah, that should be the end of March.
Yes. Oh, at the end of March. That's my birthday. Yay, guys. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.